Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Welcome to ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Thank you for coming. Today, we will discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 5th chapter, text number 15. And we will also discuss a few other transcendental topics. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Paraveda Deva Narayanangaja Narayana Paraloka Narayana Paramakaha. Translation. The Vedic literatures are made by and are meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord as parts of his body. This screen is not working. The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord, and different sacrifices are performed just to please him. Purport. Can you scroll down? According to the Vedanta Sutras, Shastra Yonitvat, the Supreme Lord is the author of all revealed scriptures, and all revealed scriptures are for knowing the Supreme Lord. Veda means knowledge that leads to the Lord. The Vedas are made just to revive the forgotten consciousness of the conditioned souls. And any literature not meant for reviving God consciousness is rejected at once by the Narayana Para devotees. Such deluding books of knowledge, not having Narayana as their aim, are not at all knowledge, but are the playgrounds for crows who are interested in the rejected refuse of the world. Any book of knowledge, science, or art must lead to the knowledge of Narayan. Otherwise, it must be rejected. That is the way of advancement of knowledge. The supreme worshipful deity is Narayan. The demigods are recommended secondarily for worshipping in relation to Narayan, because the demigods are assisting hands in the management of the universal affairs. As the officers of a kingdom are respected due to their relation to the king, the demigods are worshipped due to their relation to the king, to the Lord. Without the Lord's relation, worship of the demigods is unauthorized, avidi purvakam. Just as it is improper to water the leaves and branches of a tree without watering its root. Therefore, the demigods are also dependent on Narayan. How many engineers does it take to fix? The lokas, or different planets, are attractive because they have different varieties of life and bliss, partially representing the Sat-Chit Ananda Vigraha. Everyone wants the eternal life of bliss and knowledge. In a material world, such an eternal life of bliss and knowledge is progressively realized in the upper planets. But after reaching there, one is inclined to achieve further progress along the path back to Godhead. Duration of life with a proportionate quantity of bliss and knowledge may be increased from one planet to another. One can increase the duration of life to thousands and hundreds of thousands of years in different planets, but nowhere is there eternal life. But one who can reach the highest planet, that of Brahma, can aspire to reach the planets in the spiritual sky where life is eternal. Therefore, the progressive journey from one planet to another culminates in reaching the supreme planet of the Lord, Madhama, where life is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. All different kinds of sacrifice are performed just to satisfy Lord Narayan, with a view to reach him. And the best sacrifice recommended in this age of Kali is Sankirtan Yagya, the mainstay of the devotional service of a Narayana Parayana devotee. Om Jnanatimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakidam Hayam Dadhati Swapadantikam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripadamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sichataneshwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So it's our great fortune to be here today at the lotus feet of Sri Radha Madan Mohan, Srimad Mahaprabhu, Sri Lakshmi Nrsingadev, Srila Prabhupada, in the assembly of the devotees, on this most auspicious day of Ekadasi, in Kartik, starting of Bhishma Panchaka, and it is the Transcendental Disappearance Day of Srila Gaurakisora Das Babaji Maharaj. Srila Gaurakisora Das Babaji Maharaj was a very unique personality. He lived a seemingly ordinary life. He was a grain merchant. He was married. But when his wife died, he went to Vrindavan. And he took shelter of the holy land of Krishna. And he just engaged himself in hearing and chanting about Krishna. He was chanting 200,000 holy names, which is pretty much all day. And he would do madhukari. He would only eat if some food was given to him. He would not work or endeavor in any other ways. And he lived a very, very simple and austere life. And after living for 30 years in Braj, he went to all the different holy places. But at some point he felt like something is missing, like he's not feeling the ecstasy. He's not really experiencing the highest bliss of Krishna consciousness. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to him in his consciousness, and he told him that what you're aspiring for is there in Navadvip Dham. You have to go to Mayapur. So even though he was already old, he was already elderly, he just shifted and went and walked all the way from Vrindavan, Mathura, to Bengal, Mayapur. And there, he found what he looked for. He found for that Krishna prema. And he would engage in his same bhajan, in his same type of activities, yet he found like-minded association in the likes of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he would study with him the Bhakti Shastras and engage in kirtan. Yet his lifestyle was quite peculiar. He would not accept service from anyone, even though he's very elderly. And he would only dress himself with discarded cloth, things that people had abandoned, that they had thrown away. He would eat parched rice. That means things that had gone stale, things that had gone dry, things that had been rejected. And he'd also eat Ganges clay, mud from the bank of the river, and drink Ganges water. So his lifestyle was quite unique. One time he took up residence in a latrine, in a public toilet, public bathroom for 6 months. And he chanted there because he cherished solitude. He did not want to be bothered by mundane people who came to him for blessings or for guidance, or they were just pestering him with all kinds of demands. And he knew that if he would take up residence in a not so nice place, then those people would not come and bother him. But the administrators of that area, they proposed to him that we can build you a nice place and we can take care of you, we can have a kutir for you, we can send meals. And he said, no, that will all just be a botheration. I'm perfectly fine where I am. And he resided there for 6 months. He had a vow that he would not eat or drink on Ekadasis. So he did Nirjal, no food, no water, every Ekadasi. It was very austere. And also, besides not accepting service from anybody, he had made up his mind that he would not accept any students. He was not only not looking for followers, but he would actively discourage people from searching him out. So that was his mindset, that was his mood, that was his mentality. Namo Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye. So he is the embodiment of renunciation. His renunciation is so intense, so severe, that if you try to imitate, you will die. So don't imitate. Don't think, oh, I'm going to get some mud from El Camino Real and, drink some water from the river and eat on some remnants from some place. No, you cannot imitate. It is not possible. And Vipralamba Rasambhode Padambujayate Namaha, he was the embodiment of the ecstasy of loving devotion in separation. He was continuously tasting and relishing that separation from Radha and Krishna. Just like the 6 Goswamis, they were going around Vrindavan, Hey Radhe Brajadevike Chalalite He Nanda Sunakuta. They were saying, Hey Radha, hey Krishna, where are you? Are you here? Are you there? They never said, I have arrived. I have achieved it. I have accomplished. I am a great devotee. No. They would always worship in a mood of separation. So that was the mood of Gaurakisora Babaji Maharaj. Now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was his contemporary, they were close associates. His son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was looking for a guru and he wanted to take initiation, but his father sent him to Gaurakisora Babaji Maharaj. Now, how to persuade somebody who does not want to have followers or disciples to teach you and to give you initiation? That is quite a conundrum, right? That is quite a difficult thing to achieve, especially if you have a person of the stature of Srila Gaurakisora Babaji Maharaj. It wasn't that he was just externally saying that, but that was his mood, that was his whole persona. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he tried, he asked him, he pleaded with him, he begged him, he served him, but Babaji Maharaj was persistent. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he started to fast, and he took on very severe vows of austerity, became very thin, till his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, went to Gaurakisora Babaji Maharaj and pleaded on behalf of his son. He said, please have mercy on, my son. So eventually he relented and he accepted him as his one and only disciple. Gaurakisora Babaji Maharaj was very stern with all the Babajis, with all the so-called renunciates who would take up the dress of renunciates, but actually it was just as a matter of show or as a matter of securing their livelihood. Because when people see that there's a saintly person, usually they come and they ask, okay, do you need something? Can I do something for you? Can I give you something? Because that's a culture. That's a culture. In cultured society. So, but he said that it is much better if you still have some material desire that you grow fruits and vegetables and you give them to the devotees to offer to Krishna. That is much better than to pretend to be renounced, to pretend to be an austere person. So, in his Nitya Lila, in his eternal form, he's Guna Manjari. He's one of the eternal associates of the Lord, of the assistants of Srimati Radharani. And so he's one of the very intimate associates of Krishna. And by his example, he has shown to us how to worship Krishna in a mood of separation, in a mood of longing, in a mood of complete obedience and servitorship. He said, don't try for Lila Smarna, which means to remember the pastimes of the Lord, the Astakalya Lila, the different pastimes that Krishna is doing. Don't try artificially to remember Lila Smarana, but constantly chant the holy names of the Lord. The holy name is the only one and only shelter. By constant chanting, we can purify our hearts, and then gradually the holy name will reveal the rupa, which means the form, the guna, the qualities, and the lila, or the pastimes of Sri Krishna. Then you will realize your own eternal spiritual form, service, and the 11 particulars of your spiritual identity. So if any one of you wonders, who am I? What is my spiritual form? What is my service? What is my relation to Krishna? This is the advice of Srila Gaurakisora Das Babaji Maharaj. Just focus on Nam Bhajan, just do intense japa, and through the mercy of Nam Prabhu, through the mercy of the holy name, all these things will become revealed in due course of time. Now, of course, we're living in this great country where everything is possible, right? And everything is available. Amazon can ship it, right? Next day, even Sunday, you can get. But Krishna Prema is something that you cannot get like that. It is only granted to those devotees who are akinchana, who claim no proprietorship in this world. Gaurakisora Das Babaji Maharaj, he even gave up his residence in Vrindavan Dham because the Lord of his life told him, you should go to Navadvip. And he stayed there and lived his life there and dedicated himself to Nam Bhajan. And when he left this world, he said, you should take my body and you should drag it through the streets of Navadvip. Because he was so humble. He was feeling so unworthy, unqualified. Now the Smartas and the caste Brahmins and the other so-called Babajis, they thought, that is the instructions of Babaji Maharaj. We should do this. So when he passed away, they wanted to take his body. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he came and he was a brahmachari then. And he said, if any one of you has not touched a woman, then you can touch the body of my spiritual master. But if you have touched a woman in the last few days, then you will die. I vow this. So everybody backed off. They all retreated. And he took the body of his Gurudev and he put him in Samadhi. So his Samadhi is there. It's right next to the Kund in Mayapur. And Pushpa Samadhi is in Vrindavan. So we can go there and have darshan and avail ourselves of his mercy. So our sampradaya, as you might be wondering, is a shiksha sampradaya. It's not a diksha sampradaya. There is a lot of gaps, so to speak, where you wonder, like, what happened here? There's a lot of time that elapsed, or this person was not really initiated by this person. So we're a shiksha sampradaya. And that is how the current, how the instructions, how the mercy flows. Now, ordinarily or regularly, it is presumed that your main shiksha guru will also be your diksha guru, but it doesn't always has to be like that. That is a formality, so to speak. Sometimes, due to circumstances, it might be a different person. There might be several people who are there. So, Bhishma Panchaka, these are the last 5 days before Bhishma Deva leaves this world. And it starts today on Ekadasi. Bhishma Deva is lying on a bed of arrows. You imagine that. You have seen yogis lying on nails. That's a different thing. The arrows were shot through his body, like a porcupine. And he was laying down, resting on those arrows. And he stayed there for quite a long time, after the battle of Kurukshetra, till Krishna came, and Maharaj Yudhishthira came, and the Pandavas came, because he wanted to see Maharaj Yudhishthira installed on the throne as the emperor. And he wanted to see Krishna's lotus face before leaving this world. Now, Bhishma Dev, he had received the blessing that he would only die if he decided to do so. That's pretty cool, huh? Imagine. You only die if you actually want to die. Huh? He was the only one who had that prerogative. Practically speaking, you can say he's immortal, he's invincible. Yet he chose to leave this world in the presence of Krishna, meditating on his lotus face, but he was crying tears of ecstasy, seeing Maharaj Yudhisthira enthroned as the emperor of the world, seeing the Pandavas receive the kingdom and being established as the rulers of society. So, in these 5 days, we can also meditate on Bhishma Dev's devotion, his dedication, his exclusive focus on pleasing Krishna and pleasing Krishna's devotees. So, in case your car is still out there, please move it. They want to have the parking lot free. I just finished a little tour of the great country, drove 14,000 miles the last 6 months to visit devotees of all sorts, teachers, mentors, guides, friends, and just to show them my appreciation. Because people are getting older and people are leaving this world as we speak. This week we had Veterans Day. Did you notice? On Thursday, it was Veterans Day, where we honor our current and former service men and women who served in the military. So, on Tuesday, just as a little prelude to that, on Tuesday I was up in San Francisco and we were cooking khichdi and going out in the Tenderloin, a few devotees, to distribute the prasadam there. And it was raining like anything. Yet people were lying on the sidewalk, half-dressed, and in all kinds of conditions. And they were very happy to get a hot meal of khichdi. So, and in the afternoons, we were on a boat in the harbor, going over through Alcatraz, over to Angel Island, with one of our congregational members, who has a boat, and then we ran out of gas. And it was kind of embarrassing, it was kind of funny, because you can own so much, you can control so much, you may have hundreds of employees, but if you run out of gas in the middle of the ocean, there's not that much you can do. Now it was a sailboat, and we raised the sail, but there was no wind. So if you got no wind, you're not going anywhere. You're basically stuck. No? But then what did we do? We chanted Hare Krishna, and we ate the same khichdi that we distributed in the morning in the Tenderloin, there out on the boat, on the yacht. And it was perfect. Everything was fine. And then some person came and towed us to the pump, and we went back. So it was just a bit of a stark contrast. Krishna sometimes puts us in these situations that sometimes you feel like you're flying high or you're on top of it, and then the next moment you're in the bottom. Have you ever had that experience? That this roller coaster of emotions? And it may go several times a day, especially if we are on the chariot of the mind, if we're influenced by our mental and emotional landscape. So, while I was on the boat, stranded out there near Alcatraz, thinking like, okay, swimming is not such a good idea, because I hear there's a few sharks out there. I got a text message that Rajendranandan Prabhu had just left this world. Now, Rajendranandan Prabhu is another hero. He's a veteran. He's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada who gave his life for spreading Krishna consciousness. He was temple president, Sankirtan devotee, preached in many places, done a lot of service. And he lived in San Diego with his wife and his son. And he had some pain, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, sorry, bad news. You got cancer, 4th stage cancer. You got 3 months to live. We can operate and do chemo, but you're beyond, so get ready. And he said, no operation, no chemo, I'm going home. And he set up hospice in his home and engaged in hearing and chanting about Krishna. And within 2 weeks, he went. The doctors gave him 3 months. Things got difficult for him. He stopped eating, he stopped drinking. And then he stopped speaking for a day and a half. And just at the last moment, he said, Hare Krishna, Rama. And then he left. That's like Bhishma Dev. Huh? So, these examples are here to show us that it's possible to perfect your life in this life if you're dedicated, if we're sincere, if you're actually convinced that Krishna is my only shelter. No? Otherwise, you won't say Hare Krishna, Rama. Something else will come out. And then it's back to whatever it is that you just said, because that's how the world works. It works by sound vibration. So I went on this little appreciation tour to meet devotees like Raj. I met him down in San Diego, and we had some good exchanges, some good moments, sharing our hearts. And I'm super glad I did it, because if we only appreciate people once they're gone, it's kind of a little weird, isn't it? It's always like, I was kind of stupid. I didn't really take advantage of this person while they still lived. And now they're gone, and it's all kind of like, woe is me. And so I went down, I met Giriraj Maharaj in Carpinteria, and he shared lunch with me, and he told me that Srila Prabhupada was unconditionally loving. He was open and available, accessible to one and all. Yet at the same time, he was completely detached. That's a very strange concept. Usually if you love something or someone, you have a certain expectation, right? There's a certain reciprocation, a certain idea that, Now, first of all, don't love things because they can't love you back, all right? But even with people, you may put so much out there, and it's not always coming back in the way that you expect it. Has this ever happened to you? Or is it just me? Huh? Like a week ago, I texted a friend, and I tried to call him. And then at some point, he texted me back, and he said, there's no news, there's nothing urgent, like why are you bothering me? So everyone's caught up in their own little world, in their own story, going through their own challenges in life. So how can you be completely loving, fully aware, fully in tune with people's needs and concerns and interests and emotions, at the same time completely detached? That requires Krishna consciousness. That requires a very high level of advancement in Krishna consciousness. So Maharaj was sharing this with me amongst other things, and it was very wonderful to be in his presence. And then I went further on the trail, and without mentioning too many names or places, I'm just going to narrate a couple of incidences because I feel there's certain lessons that I'd like to share with you. I met another friend who I was close to a long time ago, but then the last few times I met him, I kind of felt like I didn't feel the love, as they say in California. You know what I mean? And I went there specifically to spend time with him. And I told him that I must have offended you. I must have done or said something to upset you, because the last few times we met, it wasn't really so great. And he thought for a moment, and he said, Navina, no, there was nothing there. So that I must conclude that I must have said or done something to upset you. And I said, no, most likely we were just both, absorbed in our own little story, doing, kicking the can down the road, doing what we think needs to be doing, which may be very good for the project, but not so good for the relationship. And that's why maybe we feel that we have estranged ourselves a little bit from each other. So we paid our respects, we embraced, and that evening he had me co-host the talk on the Bhagavad Gita to his students. Now he's the teacher, he's the dude. These are his students. Yet all of a sudden there was 2 chairs there and 2 guys who were passing the mic back and forth. And it was quite a new experience for his students. Because for them, for the first time, they could see, hey, our teacher, our dude, he actually got friends, you know. That's pretty cool, isn't it? He can have friends too, you know. And he can also share the mic, you know, he can also pass the ball. That's also a good realization. Because sometimes we're too busy just trying to score, just trying to do our thing. And sometimes we forget, what is the thing that we're trying to do? What is this bhakti thing? Is it about impressing somebody? Is it about numbers? Is it about scores? About moving books from here to there and money from there to here? Or what is it that we're trying to do? We're trying to attract Krishna's attention. Now, how do you attract Krishna's attention? Any idea? How do you attract Krishna's attention? By serving devotees, yes. Love me, love my dog. Pleasing Krishna's devotees. And that means we have to be aware that there are other people. We have to be aware there are other people. Not just those who are trying to be devotees, but also those who may not know that they're devotees. This Thursday was Veterans Day, so I was up in Berkeley. I was out at 10 o'clock. I felt high and mighty. I was like, yeah, I'm out early. And guess what? No one was there. Streets were empty. And I was like, what happened? You know, did the war start or, you know? And I asked people and they say, it's Veterans Day, you know, school's off, offices are closed, you know, everyone's. And I'm like, oh no. So the mind said, let's go home, you know? Let's go home. Now, if the mind tells you something, just do the opposite. And you'll be closer to the truth than if you follow what the mind says. I said, no, I'm already out here. I'm going to stick it out here. So then a minivan pulled up and a gypsy and his family pulled out. You know? Big guy, big lady, 2 big kids, and he packed out his music instrument, his harmonica. And I was like, oh no, it's one of those days, right? So I had the option of either trying to tell him, move on, this is my corner, you know, this is my spot. I'm the guy who came first. Or I could see, hey, here's somebody. He's trying to do his thing. I'm trying to do my thing. Let's try to do it together. So I just went up to him and I nicely talked to him. And I gave him light of the Bhagavat. I said, these are nice lessons and stories from nature and, you know, I'm sure your kids will like it. And he said, oh, you're not selling it? You just want a tip? Yeah, he gave me $2. He took the book, you know. And then he sat right next to where I was standing and distributing and was playing music all day. And I told everybody, today we brought the band out, you know. The band is here. And people were like, yeah, that's cool, man. That's great. That's wonderful. So you can either see any situation as a tragedy or as an opportunity. It's up to us. Tragedy or opportunity? What do you prefer? Opportunity. Let's hear it for tragedy. Who likes tragedy? No? No one? You have enough tragedy? You had enough drama in your life? You think like that's okay? No news is good news, right? Just keep it cool. And guess what? People started showing up because at some point they got to get up and at some point they get hungry and they come out, right? And so, voila, there they are. So, then I went to another place and I met a person who for 3 hours tried to tell me what to do. And now he's a senior man. He's very accomplished, brilliant man. Scholarly, has done many things, great things. For 3 hours he tried to tell me what to do, till I got a headache. I really got a headache. And at the end, he started laughing. And he said, and if you would actually go and do it, you would be the first person who ever did it. Because my whole life, I've kept on telling everybody what to do. And so far, no one has done it. And then we both laughed because there was such an irony in his statement that maybe trying to tell people what to do is not such a great way of how to get things done. Now, it may work for some, but it may not work for everybody. And then I was sharing some of my own observations, some of my own assessments and critiques. And at one point, he started laughing and he said, Navina, whoever appointed you as Yamaraj? And I realized I need to back off, Like sometimes we get a little too critical. Does it ever happen to you? Did you get too critical? Like we just had Odana Shasti. Odana Shasti? You heard of Odana Shasti? It's when they offer to the Lord starch cloth. It's the beginning of winter. And they dress the deity, especially Jagannath, in starch cloth. And that's the last story in the Chaitanya Bhagavat of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who was in Puri, and he observed how the pujaris were offering starch cloth. Have you ever had starch cloth, like new cloth? It's very hard, right? And it's not really comfortable. It's rough, yeah. And it's not even considered clean. So the pujaris usually don't use that for the Lord. You normally have to, wash it, make it very nice and clean and soft. But it's a tradition that on Odana Shasti, they offer starch cloth to the Lord because it's been done like that for a very long time. But Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he was critical. In his mind, he thought, why are they doing this? This is wrong. And that same night, Jagannath and Baladev came in his dream. And they were slapping him, both sides, slapping him on the cheeks. How dare you chastise our pujari? How dare you criticize our servants? We're going to show you. And they gave him a good lashing. Till his cheeks were red, hot, swollen. And then he woke up. And he checked, and his cheeks were red, hot, swollen. And he became very ecstatic that Jagannath and Baladev, Krishna personally had come and chastised him to help him overcome his mental criticism. Have we ever been critical of other devotees? Has this ever happened to you? Or is it just me? That you think like, why is he doing like that? Why is he doing like that? How can you do like that? That's not the right way how to do it. And because we're probably not that advanced, so Krishna and Balaram are not coming to slap us, But Maya is coming, and she's kicking us real hard. And we don't know where it came from or why. So to eradicate this type of mentality, this type of critical mindset, is important in bhakti, because otherwise it can lead to some resentment. We can become a little resentful, even a little hateful of other devotees. And how can you cultivate bhakti when you're resentful or hateful of other devotees, of persons who are trying to serve Krishna? So, while being on the trail, I gave a couple of talks and distributed a few books. And it was quite interesting because I encountered Prabhupada and Krishna in so many situations, in so many moments. Just like a few days ago, we had Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. And we heard beautiful, beautiful, heartfelt memories of the disciples of Prabhupada who lived with Prabhupada, who served Prabhupada directly, personally, who were there when he departed. And it's wonderful. But I heard one talk in Mayapur on Prabhupada's disappearance day, and Madhavananda Prabhu was saying that if we try to reduce Prabhupada to a historical person who lived in a certain geographical location from this time to this time, then we are not actually glorifying or doing justice to Prabhupada. because the spiritual master is not gone. He is present, and he is available, he's accessible for those who wish to connect with him. So I was in Michigan, in a town called Sheboygan, which is very far up in northern Michigan, right close to Mackinac Bridge, just below Canada. And distributing books on a Walmart. That was before the schools opened up. And I went up to a middle-aged man with his teenage son, and I showed him the books, and he said, "Prabhupada is my favorite author." And I was like, wow, thank you. It was worth it traveling 10,000 miles, you know? Just for that moment, you know, of where you see like a person is showing their appreciation, is showing their... And the son looked at him like, "Dad, what are you talking about?" You know, like, who, what? Huh? So he had a little explaining to do with his teenage son. But he took a stack of books, he contributed, and I gave them japa, malas, and I gave them Prabhupada movie, and they were super ecstatic. They were very blissful. Then I was in Ann Arbor, and they had the great Ann Arbor Art Fair, which is the biggest art fair in the country. There is, Haribol, there is hundreds of artists who are showing their paintings, their sculptures, all the things that they make, and usually tens of thousands of people who come to purchase that art. So we were there, and going from booth to booth. I was not dealing with the tourists and the shoppers, but with the artists. And I was just appreciating them and telling them, "Thank you for being out here. Thank you for trying to make a difference through your art. And I'm sure you'll appreciate these ancient texts. And I hope you can translate this message through your art and be part of the change, be part of the solution." And a lot of people were very, very happy to receive books. Well, one lady, she got very emotional. I showed her the books, and she said that when I was a young girl, I grew up in Lithuania. For those of you who don't know, Lithuania is part of the former Soviet Union. It's in the Baltics, like very close to Scandinavia, but just over to the Russian side, you know. Vilnius, Kaunas. So, and I had many existential questions about who am I and the meaning and purpose of life and why do people die and all those things. And the Bhagavad Gita answered all my questions. But then when I was 16, my parents wanted to migrate to America, to the United States, and I had to leave behind my art, my books, my friends, my life, my everything. And I had to start again from scratch with nothing. And now, 35 years later, I'm an accomplished artist, and you walk into my booth, and you give me the same book that had changed my life 35 years ago. So she was very emotional. So she took all the books, and she was super happy. So I call these the Prabhupada moments. Krishna consciousness is not just about nostalgia. You know what I mean? You know what nostalgia is? You know, like Veterans Day, we take out the old pictures and stories from the past and all that. No. That's fine. That's okay. But unless we have our Prabhupada moment every day, it will be very hard to sustain our conviction, our determination, our vibrancy in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, if you think, oh yeah, it was great till 1977, and now it's just downhill, you know, then you won't really get it, what Krishna consciousness is. Because Guru Parampara means that the message gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter as it is handed down through the disciplic succession. It's not that the potency gets less, and then at the end it's so diluted that you don't even get anything. No, it gets better and better and better. So sometimes we may think, oh, woe is me, I missed Prabhupada by a few years or by a few decades, and I missed out, right? Sometimes the mind talks like that. Has it ever happened to you? Huh? But why not see it in a different way, that actually I'm very fortunate because I get the mercy of all these devotees I get their experience. I get to hear their realizations. I get to learn from all these devotees who were trained by Prabhupada, who were trained by all the previous acharyas. Again, tragedy or opportunity. It's our choice how we see things. I was down in New Orleans in the French quarters. And it's an amazing place. People are drunk in the morning. I mean, literally, this is what they do down there. That's the only reason why people go there. So then I saw some young lady, a jogger, in her full gear with her pit bull. Not the usual prospect, right? But the others looked less likely. So when she stopped jogging and was catching her breath, I just walked up to her, and she was kind of out of breath. She, was kind of defenseless. So I showed her the books, and I asked her, like I ask everybody, so what's your biggest challenge right now? Patience, expectations, or anxiety, or just the mind? And she just broke down crying, and she just started crying and crying and crying. And I asked, what's wrong? And she said, my fiancé cheated on me. We were supposed to get married, and I ran off with this other girl, and I'm totally torn up. But I decided to become vegetarian, and I want to be spiritual. I want to do meditation, and now you give me these books here. So you can have your Prabhupada moments, but you need to be ready. You need to be ready. Otherwise, the moments may come and go, and you don't even notice that the moment was there. Krishna is ready to do the magic. Krishna is doing the magic as we speak. But because oftentimes we're a little influenced by the modes of material nature, so we're not able to appreciate what's actually going on. I was in Ann Arbor. I met a lady who was crossing the street, and I stopped her in the middle of the road. And she said, I'm from El Salvador. I don't know how many of you know about the history of El Salvador, but she said, when I grew up, it was bad. It was civil war, it was revolution, people died. She said, it was terrible. But I read the Bhagavad Gita. And now I'm here in America. I got 4 kids, I got a family, got everything. And she very happily took books. And then I asked her, what are you going to do now? And she said, I'm going to cross over, walk over the street, and go over there and sit down with those guys and chant Hare Krishna. And that's what she did. She went there, and for half hour she chanted. And then she came back to where I was distributing, and she gave me more money. And I gave her beads for her and for her daughter. And it's just some random housewife from El Salvador who had been touched by Prabhupada. So people can't forget that because it's something that sticks in them. On Friday, which is 2 days ago, I walked back from Telegraph to Stewart Street to the temple, and I met a young African-American who said he's an entrepreneur, he's got a company, he's got employees. And he said, are you the same guys? I met a guy with a book table in San Francisco, and he gave me a book similar to that. Is this the same thing? I said, yeah, I know the guy. I know his name. I know where he lives. I put him there, So he's my friend. So, and Krishna is already there in every person's life. Our job is just to appreciate people and to encourage them and to fan that spark, just to give them a little bit of appreciation. Everyone is looking for Krishna. Now, people are they looking for beauty? Are they looking for fame? Are they looking for wealth? Are they looking for power? Yeah. Even renunciation, to try to kind of detach and get away from things. So what are people looking for? They're looking for Krishna. Now, we got Krishna here, but how many people will come to the temple to appreciate Krishna? Very few. That's why we're so fortunate that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has broken open the storehouse of love of God. And he has distributed Krishna Prema freely. What he did not give in Navadvip. because people were a little proud. They were educated, they were scholars, they were proud of their aristocracy, they were proud of their heritage or their lineage. They had a certain entitlement mentality. So he got out of there. He took sannyas and he went to Puri. And there, in South India, he freely distributed what he did not give in Navadvip. Which means for us, basic, simple truth, that if we also think that we are something unique or special, or we have a certain prerogative, we have a certain right to have Krishna because it's my culture or my tradition or my right, then yeah, you may have a certain idea of Krishna. But Krishna Prema is a different thing. It's a different thing. That's that spark that can transform, that can change people's lives, that can bring down entire countries, that can cause revolutions, that can cross over all the cultural differences that might be there, that are there. But everyone is looking for Krishna. Hare Krishna. So these are a couple of reflections that I just wanted to share with you. It's good to be back and see the the efforts and the dedication and the sincerity, because it's wild out there, you know. Even in our own movement, a lot of places are no service zone, and you can either keep on driving or you can just get out of the car and jump in and do some service and then keep on driving. But if you try to get something out of this world, you will be sorely disappointed. You will be you'll be frustrated. But rather try to see, where is the service opportunity? That's what Prabhupada saw. How can I be of service? How can I help? How can I be part of the solution? How can I give people something so they can improve their lives? Any questions or comments? We still got some time. We got 2 hands up and microphones are coming your way just in one moment.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a question on Bhishma Panchaka. So you mentioned that these are the 5 days before Bhishma Dev's passing away. What is the significance of Makar Sankranti then? Because I thought that is when Bhishma Dev left his body.
I'm not very... Makar Sankranti, somebody else may want to comment on that. I just know these are the 5 days before Bhishma left this world, so he's just laying there on the bed of arrows, waiting for Krishna and the Pandavas to come. And then he took off. Sorry. I don't know. Yes. I mean, in the Bhagavatam, it says in the passing of Bhishma Dev that the sun entered a certain constellation. There's a certain astrological constellation that was very favorable. So even though he did not need to do that, but still he chose to depart on that moment. But I'm sure there's tons of texts that explain the historical significance of it.
Hare Krishna, I really appreciated your comment about appreciating people while they're on earth rather than when they pass away. I personally knew Rajendra Nandan and his wife Chatura and their child, and I'm also at a loss, to hear the news. And in San Diego, I also used to know Saradiya Devi Dasi, and she's a Prabhupada disciple, and she wanted to paint paintings for me. She was like dying to paint for me for my home. And then she also passed away, so I couldn't get advantage of her paintings. And that when I always think of a painting, I think of her, that she could not do that for me. So appreciate while they're here, the Prabhupada disciples. What else did I really got a lot out of your lecture. I can't remember right now.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. We have more mics coming right there.
Thank you, Maharaj. I really liked how you talked about how Prabhupada is still alive. His presence is felt, and how his teachings grow, and the nectar gets sweeter as opposed to diluted. That's an amazing point. It makes me think of what I read recently in the Bhagavatam about how the spiritual knowledge is different than like scientific knowledge, and that, math or whatever, it's static. And this spiritual knowledge in Prabhupada it's something that's dynamic. In that it's every time you get something new out of it, it's alive.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Any other reflections or comments or questions? Yes, please. I hope you have a mic, otherwise we'll bring you one.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is from Rajmohan Prabhu. He says, please accept my respectful obeisances. Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful realizations about Rajendranandra Prabhu. So important for us to realize how fortunate we are for the saints who are in our lives and to recognize them. Devotees like you, Prabhu. Your grateful servant, Rajmohan Das.
Hare Krishna. So if you have other questions or comments, please feel free. Otherwise, I'll have more stories. I'll just, keep you entertained. Yeah, one friend, he told me the story how he was a young brahmachari in Buenos Aires. He actually joined in Brazil in the late 70s, but then he's from Argentina. So he was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and his Gurudev asked him to come to US to serve him. So he went to the American Embassy in Buenos Aires in Argentina to apply for a visa. And he went there in pant and shirt. And his visa got rejected because they thought he's just another Latino who wants to go to America to work. So he went back the next day in dhoti and kurta. And he demanded to speak to the ambassador. Have you ever tried to do that when you went for visa interview? Huh? Okay. That's just, But you can see the scenario, right? You're all being at the embassy doing the thing. So you kind of know what's going on there. So he demanded to speak to the ambassador. And guess what? The lady came. And she asked, well, what can I do for you? He said, yesterday I was here and one of your less intelligent bureaucrats has rejected my application. But little did he know that in our tradition, we live to please our spiritual master. I don't want to go there for myself. I know that he's sick and he needs my help. I have traveled with him all over South America, and I know his needs, and I can bring him back to health. So she said, so you're not going to go there and work? He said, no, we're missionaries. We just do our thing and we go back. We're always traveling. So she paused for a while, and then she said, okay, all right, I'll give you the visa. And then as she got up from the table, she leaned forward. Now this is the Prabhupada moment, okay? Are you ready? If you hear this, you can't go back, right? You cross that line, it's too late. You're in. She said it kind of soft under her voice because, there's other people there in the room. I mean, she's the top dog in the country. So there's Marines, there's, politicians, there's other officials there. She got up from the table and she leaned forward and she said, I read Prabhupada's Gita. It's like these moments when you get goosebumps, you're like, what? Hello? And so he took out a Lilamrita, Prabhupada's biography, and just slid it under the table. He just kind of, gave it to her. Now you may ask yourself, why did she ask him all these questions if she already read the Gita? Why? You know why? Why do people challenge you sometimes? Why do they ask you pointed questions? They want to make sure that we are who we say we are. They want to make sure that we're legit, that we're actually Hare Krishnas. We're not just scam artists. We're not just pretenders. We're not just people who are in it for our own glory or our own profit. That's why. And of course, she's a diplomat, she's a politician, so she has to do her due diligence, do her job. So, when people are asking you questions, and sometimes challenging questions, or questions where you may not know the answer, then it forces us to actually go a little deeper in our heart. Like when they ask you, what's the purpose for your visit in this country? Then you say, this is a very good question, sir. What is the purpose of my visit to this country? Huh? You can fill in the blanks, you know. What is my motivation? What is the reason why am I here? If you have any questions or comments, just feel free to raise your hand anytime in between, okay? Otherwise, I just keep going here because we still got some time. Anything else on the web? Yes, good. Did you like this story? It's pretty cool, right? Yeah, so the books are out there. And the books will go places where you can't go. You can't just go and meet the ambassador or this guy or that guy or this person, but the books can go. The books can meet those people. Yes?
Gaurav Prabhu has said, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful lecture.
Who is saying?
Gaurav Prabhu, looks like.
Gaurav.
Okay. Your point that everyone is consciously or unconsciously yearning to be closer to Krishna, and devotees are simply trying to help if they are ready to accept, was a great point from today's lecture. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Other points, or questions, or comments? Coming, going? Okay, I'll tell another story till he's going to go around. No, he's fast. I'm impressed. He's really fast. Never seen a big man that fast. Yes, give him a mic.
Haribol. So, Prabhu, my question is regarding dealing with relatives. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those who are materialistic, don't disturb them and don't be disturbed by them. So, I come from South India, and most of my relatives are meat eaters and also heavy drunkards. I mean, for them, eating meat is a very, very common thing. Like in a week, they have to eat 3 times, some of them. So when I go there, you know, they feel like I'm not one among them. So anyway, I try to convince them, you know, that meat eating is bad, and there is we need to follow some higher philosophy, you know, bhakti like that. But they are not receptive. That's fine, you know, as long as they don't disturb me, I'm fine with them. And I also don't disturb them. But sometimes what happens is because of these family issues, you know, when they do something wrong, I have to confront them, right? So I confronted them a couple of times, and they get agitated with that. Why do you confront us? But I said, I'm also part of the family, you know. When you do something wrong, it is my responsibility to show you what is right and wrong. So anyway, some major issue happened. My grandfather passed away in 2013. So I confronted them. Even after 7 years, so some of my relatives, you know, they have still grudges against me. Why this guy is confronting us, and they're kind of, you know, back talk. And it disturbs me whenever I go there. How do you deal with such situations, you know?
Phalena pariciyate. You judge a thing by its result. So if your actions are giving negative result, then we may have to change something and change our approach or our way of doing things. You understand? Because the result right now is negative, right? You're facing negativity. You're facing pushback. So you may have to change your strategy. Try it out. I mean, you've tried the confronting strategy, and it hasn't worked so great. So try a different strategy. There are different ways of how to get a job done. I mean, you're all smart people, you're all engineers. It's not that it always works on the first on the first try, right? Sometimes you have to try from different angles. And so try out different things. What I have found, like I asked Giriraj Swami, because I could have called my tour not just the appreciation tour, I could have also called it the finishing unfinished business tour. Or, because sometimes you feel like you have certain issues or unresolved business, or you need closure or problems. But I thought, appreciation tour is more encouraging. It's more inspiring than finishing unfinished business. But because Maharaj is such a gentle soul and such a refined person, I mean, his father was a judge. So I asked him, how do you deal with seniors, or how do you confront people that are senior to you, or they see themselves as senior? Like with family members, right? They don't think you're peers, they think that they're better. Yeah, and you're junior. So he said, with seniors, you don't confront. You don't confront. So Giriraj Maharaj's answer to your question is, ask them questions. Just ask them questions. And if it's not making it better, you can probe a little and ask a little more and go a little deeper into the topic. But when you see that there's pushback, then back off. So in that way, you have done your part. You have addressed the issue, but they have to do their part to resolve the issue. Sometimes it doesn't happen in the moment, it happens way later. Dhritarashtra did so many wrong things, he did so many bad things all throughout his life. But because Vidura was always good to him, and he was always supportive of him, he was always his kind younger brother, his good advisor, his good intelligence. When he came back after 20 years of pilgrimage, and he gave him an earful of pretty straight talk, it actually hit home. And he went. So don't expect the change to happen overnight. Try a different strategy. Just befriend them, appreciate them, give them prasadam, give them gifts, give them encouragement. Unless there's seriously something outrageously wrong that needs addressing. Otherwise, choose your battles. If it's not working, then don't pursue the same strategy. Okay? All right? So, I met another devotee, and she shared a story with me, his Prabhupada moment, that I would like to share with you. Since it's Veterans Day, and, we have Prabhupada disappearance, and today we have Gaurakisora Babaji Mahaprabhu's disappearance, Bhishma Dev's disappearance coming up in a few days. So, he joined just straight out of high school. He was in Houston, driving a van. And downtown Houston, there's a lot of stop signs. And it was early morning, and he got a little negligent, and he blew some stop sign. And one big truck just ran him right over, one semi. His van got plowed to the side. He got thrown out of the van landed on him and grated him on the asphalt, and he had broken bones and big hole in his leg. The people were amazed that he was alive. Somebody brought him to a hospital, and the nurse there, the head nurse, was yelling at him because they couldn't find any proof of insurance. So she said, you have to leave. You can't stay here. You got to leave. And it was a Catholic hospital, So the head sister, so he was there, standing there, is completely still traumatized. When he moved his left leg, his right ear would move, When he moved his leg, his ear would move. So he obviously saw something is wrong. And as she's yelling at him, he kind of falls forward. There's another nurse who just puts him in a wheelchair And that lady keeps on hammering him and yelling at him, you have to leave, you have to leave, you can't stay, you have to go. So as he kind of musters up his strength to get out of there, one young intern, doctor in training, he accompanies him down into the lobby, and he brings him 2 big grocery shopping bags full with medical supplies. And he says, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to take this medicine, you have to clean your wound, and you come on Sunday morning, we have the free dispensary on the back of the hospital, and you do this and you do that. And then he told him, I'm a devotee. I joined in LA. And when Prabhupada was there, Prabhupada asked me, what do you do? And he said, I'm a doctor, I'm going to medical school. Actually, he wasn't an intern anymore, but he was still a pretty young doctor. So this was like late 70s, just after Prabhupada left. And Prabhupada said, you got to finish, become a doctor. Just do it. And so he saved that devotee's life. That devotee later on, he stayed in the ashram for a few years, then he went back to law school, became a lawyer, and is now a very accomplished person, government position, doing many things. And he has helped countless devotees through his legal practice. So, again, the Prabhupada moments. On my tour, I visited so many temples and centers, but what really was heart-changing for me was experiences I had I was up in Davis. You know Davis, next to Sacramento? We had 40 kids on the lawn, just having a bhakti program, just students there, just hearing and chanting and discussing, sharing prasadam. It was really beautiful. And many familiar faces from here that were there. Same thing in Boulder, Colorado. In Boulder, Colorado, the devotees had kind of lost a little bit touch with the student club. And it just kind of took a dynamic of its own, like newcomers took charge of the club, and they really made it big. So sometimes we think, only I can do this. If I don't do this, no one's going to do it. But actually, if we believe in the potency of the process, sometimes the job is to just step out of the center and to let Krishna do the magic and let other people take responsibility, and then things can grow and flourish and develop. So I have not cooked one meal in 6 months unless I decided to cook for others. Because there were devotees everywhere, every step of the way. People who hosted me in their homes and who fed me and who gave me, shelter and gifts, and it was amazing. It was truly beautiful. So I just wanted this to share with you because some of you may, you feel like I'm in one place, I can't go anywhere. Right now it's not such a good time to travel. But, yeah. But if you open the Bhagavatam, you can travel all over the universe. Because you're reading, you're right there in the action when it's going down. And you're having all these very intimate moments that Prabhupada is sharing with us, where he's discussing his own personal life. I just read in the first canto, Prabhupada was saying how his own father, Gaur Mohande, when he was a young boy, 4 or 5 years old, he gave him Radha Krishna deities. And he was just imitating what his dad was doing. And then later on, when he was in school and college, he got out of practice. Very humbly, he shared, he admitted that. But then later, when he met his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that playful worship that was there as a child became formal worship, and he got back to it, and he did it according to regulation. So these are very intimate realizations that Prabhupada is sharing with us. So we should open the Bhagavatam every day so that we have these experiences I met another person the other day in the Harinam in Palo Alto, and he said, Prabhupada was in my home, my grandfather's home. I was there as a young kid. And he just gave me $100 like that. You know, imagine Prabhupada is in his granddad's home. So, the potency is there. You can't hide the light of the sun. It's there. The sun is self-effulgent. This process works. And for us to join hands and to help each other, to practice bhakti and to share bhakti with others, this is the mood and mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is what he came to deliver. This is what he came to give us. Now, in the last few days of Kartik, we can meditate on how we can dedicate ourselves and do our little effort to be part of that team effort. And I hope you all have your Prabhupada moments every day of your life, because that's what makes life extraordinary. That's what makes life super extra special. Otherwise, just live and work and die, that's kind of boring. It's kind of ordinary. We want to live and experience the magic of Krishna consciousness. That's why we're here. That's why we see in the lives of great saints and devotees like Bhishma Dev, like Gaurakisora Das Babaji Maharaj, they have so much taste in their bhajan, they have so much taste in their Krishna consciousness that they voluntarily withdraw, they voluntarily disengage from the world, because their inner life is so rich, it's so satisfying, it's so happening, it's so fulfilling. Like now people are talking about this meta. Have you heard of the meta universe? The metaverse, that people want to go all virtual. And very soon they're all going to walk around with goggles on. Or maybe they're just going to live in a slum and have good internet, you know? And their lives will be completely mundane, but they think it's really happening because my avatar is really doing great. So get off the phone and live in the real world. There's a lot of, oh boy. Okay, we already heard those. Something more there? Prema from Argentina and Uruguay. Some advice in how to appreciate devotees that we don't like so much. You can find something that you can appreciate about them. Just like one time Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as the Acharya, he shows us, somebody came to him and complained about another devotee, and Maharaj said, every day he's wearing clean clothes. So that's something you can appreciate, right? Person is wearing clean clothes every day. So just appreciate that. Find something that you can appreciate. And just speak about that. Rather than seeing the deficiency, you see the opportunity. You see the potential. Don't see what's disturbing. Prabhupada, as the pure devotee, he had X-ray vision. He could analyze and see what's going on. He saw the problems, but he saw Krishna is there. There's an opportunity. And he fanned that spark. Just like Lord Nityananda. When he met Jaga and Madai, he knew who they were. He knew what was going on. But he saw past that. He saw there was an opportunity. That if these two would become devotees, then everybody can become a devotee. Everybody will recognize the potency of Mahaprabhu's movement. So he was ready to take the hit. He was ready to take a little bit of beating to do the service, to glorify Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, are we also ready to get over our own likes and dislikes and just appreciate what's there? I know it's hard. Kunti Devi says that all trouble comes from social interaction, but we cannot live without social interaction. So to see the good in other devotees, that will help us overcome those things that we don't like so much. Oftentimes, I have noticed that if I have something that I'm really peeved by, something that's really upsetting me, it's because I got it. I'm troubled by this myself. So when I'm facing it, when I'm seeing it in others, it really upsets me. It really makes me mad. Just like when you have children and they have kind of similar traits than the parents, right? And so it's really hard to see your own persona reflected in your children. That's why it's such a challenge to have children. But it also forces us to see the potential, that there is opportunity if we see that potential and we fan that spark. Other last comments or questions? Sorry if I've taken you on a little tour here and we've gone a few places, but I'm glad to see that we're back to in-house and people are still sane, somewhat, and going on in their Krishna consciousness. Things are coming back to life also out there. So, yeah, make plans. There's only a few weeks left in the year. Make plans. What is my contribution for this mission? What can I do to spread Krishna consciousness? And how can I be part of this spiritual revolution meant to cause a change of heart in a misguided civilization? It's very much required. It pains me. I'm out in these universities and I'm meeting people from all walks of life, and especially many Indian students who grew up here. They will tell you, I'm an atheist, I'm a nothing, I don't believe in anything. And it's kind of weird, isn't it? It's kind of shocking. You ask yourself, what went wrong? You know? Where was the disconnect? Huh? And that should also make us think a little bit, what do we have to be aware of? What do we have to be mindful of so that our children and the children of our children will actually be happy and enthusiastic and proud to be devotees, to be Krishna conscious, and to be part of this movement? That they won't say, oh, I'm a nothing. Huh? Yeah, my parents, they're doing some weird stuff, but me? No, I'm something else. Huh? I always ask them, when they say I'm a nothing, I say, can you spell that for me? I'm a nothing. How do you spell that? Huh? Are you human? So, Krishna consciousness is a very precious gift. And we're here to remind ourselves of this great opportunity. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for checking in on online. And I wish you happy Bhishma Panchaka, happy Ekadasi, happy Kartik, happy. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Jai Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. There's going to be kirtan and Damodarastaka. Damodarastakam now, and then prasad. That's the program. All right? So you can just turn towards the deities. Hare Krishna.
जय राधा दामोदर की। नमामि शरणं सच्चित् आनन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले भ्राजमानम्। यशोदभियो लुकोलाधवमानम् करामिष्टमदन्तो द्रुतगोप्या। रुदान्तमोहोर्नेत्रा युग्मं मृजन्तम् करां भुजो युग्मेन शातं कनेत्रम्। मुहुशतोकं पतिरेखाङ्ककण्ठं स्थितो द्वैवदामोदरं भक्तिवर्गम्। लीलाभिरानन्दकुन्दे स्वघोषन्निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम्। तदीयशीतगेषु भक्तर्जितध्वं पुनः प्रेमातस्तं सता प्रीतिवन्दे। परं देवमोक्षं न भक्षं बधिवा न चान्नं प्रीणेऽहं वरे साधुप्रियः। इदं ते गोकुलनाथ गोपालबालं सदा मे Rastam alam lakshalakai. Namo Devo Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jala Vimarnam. Vipadishti Vishkati Dinam Betanu Vihane Somam Agyame Dakshidesha. Kuberatmajau Bhatta Muktaiva Yadva Dayamachito Bhakti Bhajo Pritaicha. Tatha premo bhaktim shakang me prayacha. Namokshe graho mesti damodare ho. Namaste Dhamne Spuradi. Namaste Stu Dhamne Spuradipti Dhamne Tadiyo Darayato Vishwasho Dhamne. Namo Radhika Vaita Diyo Priya Vai. Namo Nanta Lilayo Devayo Tubham. Namo Radhika Vaita Diyo Priya Vai. Namo Nanta Lilayo Devayo Tubham. Namo Radhika Vaita Diyo Priya Vai. Namo Nanta Lilayo Devayo Tubham. Namo Radhika Vaita Diyo Priya Vai. Namo Nanta Lilayo Devayo Tubham. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodaro Radha Damodaro Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodaro Radha Damodaro Radhe. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Sri Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Sri Radhe. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, जयो राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधे जयो राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे जयो राधे जयो राधे जयो राधे जयो श्री राधे जय गौर निताई गौर निताई गौर निताई जय गौर निताई जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय राधा दामोदर की जय राधा मदन मोहन की जय लक्ष्मी नृसिंहदेव की जय चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय गुरुदेव वृंद की हरे कृष्णा
श्री श्री नृसिंहदेव भगवान की नमस्ते नरसिंहाय Prabhupada ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all for the coming to the ISKCON of Silicon Valley on the auspicious day of Ekadashi, the starting of Panchabhishmaka. Thank you all for coming tonight. Today's discourse was given by His Grace, Navina Nirada Prabhu. So let's give him a big round of applause. Damodar Ashtak and the Kirtan was led by His Grace, Vishwapati Prabhu. So, and the Narsimha Aarti was led by Rohini. So let's give him a big round of applause. So anyone coming for the first time to the ISKCON of Silicon Valley? Yes, I met you. Thank you for coming there. And we have some other devotees here too. Thank you all. So thank you for coming. We have 3 days a week program here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. We have Wednesday evening program, Saturday morning, and the Sunday evening. So if you have any questions or if you want any clarification, please do reach out to any one of the devotees here. We would be happy to assist you in any way we can. Thank you. So we have 2 sponsorship for today's program. The first one is on the occasion of Swara Ojha. Their parents are sponsoring the feast on the occasion of her birthday. So is she here? I don't see them, but we'll thank them in their absentia. So please give her a big round of applause. And the second sponsorship is by His Grace Neelamani Krishna Chandra Prabhu on the occasion of his mother's and Madhav's birthday, and also he is sponsoring to serve all the devotees in Kartik. Hare Krishna. So if there are no other announcements, we can...
My heartfelt thanks to all the musicians. Without their support, it would not have been possible to sing,
Yes.
So give a round of applause to them.
Haribol.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we will now go to, we have the cooks to be announced. And of course, it's Ekadashi, but we have a prasadam. This will be Ekadashi prasadam, so she'll announce the cooks.
Hare Krishna, today's prasadam was cooked by Ujjvala Rasa Mataji, Dana Lakshmi Mataji, Kanika Mataji, Kalyani Mataji, Rima Mataji, Srini Prabhu, Tadiya Seva Prabhu, and Tripti Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So we'll have the Prasad Seva prayers. Monisha, can you lead?
Shadira Vidya Jo Hindi Ata Hai Ka Jive Fele Vishaya Sagore Dharmade Jivayati Lobho Moisudurmati Taki Jita Katina Samsare Krishna Bharadoyamai Kori Bhare Jivaja Svaprasadana Diloba Seyanamita Bhau Shri Radha Krishna Gunagau Preme Thakur Shri Chaitanya Nita Preme Thakur Shri Chaitanya Nita Mahaprasade Dhamma
Buddhi Bhava Vishaka Nayoka Bhutta Sagala Vasana Karatachita Ushista Bhojina Dasas Kavamaya Jayamani Bhagavad Shima Prasada Ki Nitai Gora Hariva 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 Nitai Gora Hariva. Please come take Prashadam.